Well, the large structural threat to Jordan is that the whole fabric of reality of the world uh, is under threat. There's been a series of cataclysms. The reason for it is that forces of the outer mythos basically started paying attention to the world a little bit and just sort of eroded it away a little.
Hmm.
And it's a very old uh, world, going to this sort of Jack Vance dying Earth sort of feeling. And so there have been a series of cataclysms, and beastmen have appeared in a lot of places through something called a beastman reincarnation that's described in there. And so the main threat, it's poised at a snapshot moment in history. Civilization has been pushed back to the coastlines, and most of the destructive power behind what was going on has actually stopped. And it's just a question of, is the momentum of that going to sweep civilization off the face of the planet, or are those countries going to be able to hang on? And it's not put onto the players to be the people who save the world. I mean, if they do, then that's great, but it's not really positioned as this is your task. It's just, this is the kind of moment in time when heroes are made.
Hmm.
um, and so, and there are a bunch of subsidiary issues that come from all of this. So, for example, because of the erosion of the fabric of reality, a lot of portals have opened to different places. And so there's a description of um, planes called the dream realms that are in the book. And there are rifts that have opened up where if a ship sails into this rift, it can actually end up in a different world or a different plane of existence. And that's because I really, as a DM, I really enjoy portals and interplanar type stuff. And
Same.
yeah, so I wanted to build in a way of explaining why these things would be all over the place. And it was, and this goes back to my thing about spend all of your creativity, go ahead and write it in, because that wasn't initially in there. But this whole thing with the cataclysms and the portals, and then it turned out, you know what? This whole cataclysm thing. That's a great way to explain why the portals work the way that I like them to, and so just weave it together and it works.
I've always like with the one I'm building, I've always loved kind of the lore behind Fey crossings and just or these built-in magical places that lead to other places. Obviously, in like Nordic lore, of you go into the
Mm-hmm.
mountains or you go into the caves, it could lead you to Svartalheim, the underground world of the dwarves and dark elves. And I just like those kind of natural fixed points of this could lead you to a magical place, even though it seems very mundane where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly the same. And then, so one of the things that's in here too is there was, back in history, magic has sort of been cycling as a part of this fabric of reality thing
Hmm.
coming apart. For a while, earth magic was very powerful, and then technomancy was very powerful. During the phase when earth magic was very powerful, the Temenoan Empire, which is, that's basically the common empire,
Hmm.
uh, realized there are these nodes of earth power under the ground. And so they basically start digging toward these things. And so that explains Megadungeons, because they're not really building underground complexes. They're effectively mining. But as you're doing that, and it's very easy, because what's the powerful magic? Earth magic. It's very powerful right now. So, dig spells, move earth spells, things like this. They're able to create, these vast labyrinths, which then once they find one of these earth nodes, they're pulling the magic from it. So you've got people living, down there and
Yeah.
near it. And, so it gives a good example of, it gives a good rationale for having these mega dungeons. And now, since there are lots of portals opening up, those are all found in these mega dungeons, where a little hole opens up to another, dimension or another plane, or so on and so forth. So, a lot of it, one of the things I'm kind of proud about it is that it tends to take a lot of the standard tropes of gaming, but I think it does a pretty good job of explaining them, for, internal consistent verisimilitude sort of things. Okay, that makes sense.